laboratory of light invocation. This space and all such spaces are laboratories, because what we are asked to do is to take what we learn here, the experiment, in this case, the experiment of what happens if I center myself in my heart, join together with other people and call light. Let's see what happens, right? That's the experiment. What we are asked to do then is to take that experiment and put it into day-to-day action. Because light is not just reserved for certain moments or certain situations or certain occurrences. The point that I understand and that I am trying to transmit to you, and I know that you're also taking in, is that light is for everywhere and every when. And of course, light is everywhere and every when. But the conscious connection to it, the ability to call it, embody it, transmit it, that's something that we have to learn. And so here we are, once a month, coming together in this laboratory, this little schoolroom, this virtual schoolroom, learning that skill. In the same way as some of you I know, you go online and take guitar lessons or go online and do other things. So let's do what we all know how to do to open the space. Breathe in your heart. Consciously connect your three groundings, grounded on earth, opening your central channel, coming into the space of your heart, and opening your channel to receive light. If there are those new to this circle, what I just said is actually the simple truth of what we do. We connect to the earth because our bodies are part of the earth, and that gives us reality, gives us stability, gives us safety. We breathe in our center because that's our referent, because we are organized around that center, that braid of heaven and earth that goes through the middle. We come into the space of the heart, which is the space from which we seek to and choose to and try to and then do live. And then we open our chimney, our channel, to receive light. And all of this takes practice. So when I say this is the laboratory, you have now many people helping you do it. So do it. Breathe. Close your eyes. Breathe in your heart. And then feel, sense, see. Everybody else is doing the same. And we automatically join the heart. Hearts seek hearts, seek hearts. There you go. Make a note. What does it feel like? How do you know when you arrive in your heart? How did I know? I said, yeah, there we went. I could feel it. Thoughts and concerns and all the blah blahs that I have, that you have, that we all have. And then we got there. Like that. One of the things we teach in the Essential Light Institute is to acknowledge, own, and then hone your particular set of perceptive abilities. Some of us are more seers. Some of us, many of us are feelers. Some of us are sensors. Like that. There we go. Thank you. So let me tell you, to start, I want to tell you a practical use of light that I experienced yesterday. Somebody in my community had asked me to do they wanted to talk to me. And what we needed to talk about was something that was potentially fraught, because my way is, when someone asks me to talk with them, I tell them the truth that I know. I expect them to do the same. I think it's a waste of time to shilly-shally, to be flippant, to make niceties when there's something to talk about. And how to do that, which potentially could be conflictual, potentially could be hurtful, in a way that avoided, as much as possible, the conflict and the hurt. So my way was, as this person came and he said, well, do you want to tell me first what your point of view is? I said, no, I want to hear yours, because I did. And I sat there as he was talking, and I breathed in my heart, and I stepped into the space of compassion, and I opened myself to light, and I listened and took in what he was saying. And he was a little bit nervous, right? I'm the leader of the community, and he had some things to say that were a little difficult for him. And so I waited. And then I asked inside myself, I asked that light that was illuminating, right? First of all, I was just there listening to him, quite interested in what he had to say, and seeing his nervousness and just encouraging him, because in that space, I love him, and I just want him to be free to say what he had to say. And then I asked in me, so what should I say, if anything? And I said I had to say at least one thing that was difficult for him to hear. In the context of what we were talking about, there was a correction that I needed to point out to him, something that from my point of view, my job, was something that he had missed, and was offering it to him as a possible correction, something he could learn from. Was very, very, very beautiful because of the space. He heard what I had to say, but he didn't collapse. He didn't cave in. He listened. He said, okay, I can see that. And then we ended up having a conversation about the thing that I was saying to him in a more general sense. And so then we took off into talking about other things. It had to do with the conduct of ceremony and how we do things in the daime and like that. So it was very simple. But my way was, I sat and did what we do here. My heart, breathe. And I spoke truth, you know what I mean? And sometimes we imagine that when we're in the heart and the light, we're just what we used to call in the old days, bliss ninnies, you know? Everything is beautiful, everything is fine, let's all pour flowers on each other, you know, which sometimes we can do. But sometimes there's truth to be told, but not truth with attachment, right? And that's the other thing that I want to say, right? I was on another call when we do our daime self-transformation works. Now we do follow-up calls, right? We had a group call because a week later, 10 days later, people are still processing things. So one of the people asked me on this call the other night, he said, what is the ethic of what you're doing? The ethic, by which he meant that he's very committed to what he called radical social justice. And he said his reaction to what's going on now, right, to these recent things going on in the country, was he was just furious. He was just furious and activated. Absolutely understandable, right? He says, "What is your ethic?" he said, sort of provocatively. And I basically said, my ethic is light. My ethic is the heart. I don't deny anything. I told him a story about when I met the man who was the leader of the Daime from 1989, September 89. I went to the forest and I met the man. His name was Sebastian, leader of the Daime. I never met a saint before that I knew. And here was my experience. My experience was he had the eyes of a hawk. He had the eyes of a hawk. He looked like this. And I knew that when he looked at me, even though I didn't speak a word of Portuguese, that he saw everything about me. And he forgave me and he loved me, but he saw straight on. And I learned from that. And I said, that's my ethic. I want to see straight on. So I look at what's going on in this country, in my world, and I see straight on as far as I can. But what I do is, my ethic is, I recognize that everything that is being proposed, everything that is being said, everything that is being argued, even the things I agree with, is all opinion. It's all opinion, which means what somebody likes and what somebody doesn't. An opinion is created from attachment. Opinion is created from ascribing meaning to something. And virtually nothing means anything that we ascribe to it. So for instance, in this moment, the word liberty has all kinds of things ascribed to it. There are people that honestly believe, truthfully, they believe sincerely in their opinion that their right to buy a gun anywhere they want, any gun they want, and not tell anybody about it, and not have anybody tell them what to do with it in any way, on any level, that means freedom. And if the result of that is some people get slaughtered, well, that's because I don't want to give up any freedom. That's simply ascribing meaning to something which has no inherent meaning. A gun has no inherent meaning. That idea of liberty has no inherent meaning. We ascribe to it meaning, opinion, and then we fight about it. And that's what's going on earth, is the fighting of opinions with ascribed meaning to things which have no inherent meaning to them. You see what I mean? So what is my ethic? My ethic is what I learned here is my job is to hold space of light on earth and see what's going on. And I have plenty of opinions. I don't deny that I have opinions. The question is, am I attached to them, and do I make policy for myself and any place I'm called from those opinions or not? Do I understand that you have opinions? Of course you have opinions. We can talk about that. Let's sit down and have a beer and talk about our opinions. But opinion has no meaning other than what we ascribe to it. Just like belief has no meaning other than what we ascribe to it. What can substitute for that? What can give me a deeper level of understanding? Look where my hand is. For me, it is that when I activate my heart and I learn to commit myself literally, like I did in that little example with the guy who was sitting on my couch the other day, when I literally, not metaphorically, vibrationally choose to approach these things that I see, including my own opinions, including your opinions, including the opinions of the Republicans and the Democrats, and if I approach them from my heart, I can hold it all, and I can be an agent of the delivery of light on earth. even with all my opinions. You see, I had a vision. So I'm going to tell you something. Those of you, there are Daime people on this call, and some of you know about it. So one of the things in the Daime, teachings come through songs, right? Received songs. We call them, we say they were received, right? We would say channeled. People don't sit down in the Daime and authentically and sit down and say, well, I don't know, let me write a song. There are people with very, very beautiful songs, right? But a received hymn is something else. So I received a hymn. That's the story of when it came. That said, it's a new world that has come with love to guide us. That's what somebody's saying to me. And I thought, well, that's stupid because it seems like the old world, just worse. What does that mean? So what did I do? I was in a very deep meditation, actually in a Daime ritual. And I said, what the heck does that mean? Once in a while, they answer. Here's what they showed me, literally in front of my face. I saw the world, I saw the earth. And I saw that the earth was being held, not literally, but like two hands, each hand had 10,000 fingers of light, crystalline light, and it was being held like this, and like I'm doing now, like this. And that light was infusing the earth and holding it so much that I saw black, oily smoke discharging from the earth itself. This was probably 15 years ago, maybe more. What did that tell me? It told me that what is happening, now, I trust that because I couldn't make that up. And because of the feeling in my heart, I was like, wow, this is true. Like all my bells were going off like ding, 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 ding. Pay attention. So for my satisfaction, this told me that there is so much light being infused into earth that the off-gassing of what has been in humanity for 10,000 years, since the beginning of human civilization, what has been done to the earth in those 10,000 years, and the earth itself, whatever has been generated from the transformation of matter into spirit, is being off-gassed in function of so much light being infused. And then I saw, so then I asked, well, okay, well, what am I supposed to do? And I saw, not just myself, but I saw many, many, many people being assigned those fingers of light to secure them on earth, to hold them, while the process of the off-gassing is going on. So as I said, that was 15 years ago. We can look back 15 years and like, wow, things were really peaceful then. Actually, they weren't. But compared to now, compared to shootings literally every day, many times a day, compared to so much war, compared to what's going on with global warming. So I have that satisfaction to say inside me, I know what my job is. And there were, in that vision, there were people given one thread. There are some people who have lots of chi, given a few threads, and then there were groups given a bunch of threads to secure on earth. I wasn't shown that one thread was better than the other. I wasn't shown that some people's light is better than others. I wasn't shown that. What I was shown is everybody has a job to do. Everybody has a job that has to do with securing light. I didn't see that one profession was more powerful. I didn't see that me being a healer was better than someone else delivering the mail at all. I was just shown that we are being inspired to secure light on earth. as I said, it was 15 years ago, then started to come this that we're learning here. The technology of doing that, that's what we're learning, my dear ones. We're learning the technology of securing light on earth, wherever it is you're called to be. If you're called to sit in your home and pray, you're securing light on earth. If you're called, as the brother who asked me this question the other night about ethics, right? He's a professor of theology at a radical theological seminary. That's a different thing. But he said a very interesting thing. He said, where I am, there's no heart. It's all intellect. So his transformation is to bring heart to that space, and bring light for real through his heart to even that conversation about radical theology. That's his job. Is that better than the person whose job it is because you've already worked in the world, or because you have an illness, or because that your job is sitting at home and praying? No. Light is light is light is light. There's no such thing as a better light. Right? Is it more valuable than the person yelling on social media, yelling hate on social media? I say yes. Better in the sense of more useful. Is that my opinion? Yeah, that's my opinion. More useful. Because what we are doing on earth, you've heard me say this before, what we are doing on earth is securing the space of the heart for the transference of loyalty on earth from the third chakra to the fourth chakra. We are at the end of the epic of the third chakra. That doesn't mean, it could last another 1,000 years, right? At this point, the quintessential expression of the third chakra on earth is China, even more than the United States. It's going to last a while, but it's not going to last because humans are being called to the heart. And there are people in China doing this quietly. Some of them, you do it there, you get thrown in jail, right? We're doing it here, Australia, blah, 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 everywhere. There are people being called through intuition to hold the space of the heart and to connect with light. In our tiny little way, in our little corner of the world, we are teaching this to you in hopes that you will then teach it to somebody else, wherever you are. People are doing it. There are people on this call who are doing it in hospitals, doing it in hospices, doing it in law offices, doing it in schools, doing it blah, blah, blah. People on this call. To be inspired. People doing it in social justice circles. Huh? People being inspired to find the place of the heart in them and then bring it with different language. You don't have to use the language I use. That's the language I use. I had another vision. I'm going to share one more vision with you, and then I'm actually going to read something to you too, and then we're going to do the light invocation. Just when I was getting ready to move to Oregon, so we're talking about 32 years ago. 32 years ago. The last workshop that I did with my mentor, Jose Rosa, and we were moving to Oregon because mostly I felt like we need to get out of Boston. And then we found this little town, Ashland, Oregon, and we agreed to move there. That was pretty much it, right? I didn't know anything. We didn't know anything of what was going to happen. So what I saw then, and so I had that question. I'm like, wow, we're just moving. We had a life, we had a full life. We both had professions. We had friends. And I saw the earth as a chessboard. And I saw people as the chess pieces. And they were being moved around, but moved around by a force, by a divine force. And then we're just little pieces, and we were just being put in different places, moved around, because there was a game that was starting, and the pieces had to be in place. How do you know? How do you know what your place is? How do you know what the next step is? The external reference have been crumbled. What makes sense? Tell me what makes sense today. What makes sense? Making sense is an opinion. How do you know? I say, when the external reference have crumbled, good, because it forces me to find a new place, which to me is the space of my heart, as infused and informed by light. Because what does that do? That activates and hones, strengthens my intuition. Part of it is necessity. I'm like, what the heck is going on? I don't know who's going to tell me what to do, right? If you're among us, you don't have a church that's going to tell you what to do. You don't have a leader that's going to tell you what to do. You don't have, your heritage is not going to tell you what to do. All of those things are full of opinion. Grounded, centered, light-filled intuition. That's what I know. It's what I do the best I can to follow. I've been doing it for a while, so actually almost all the time it's pretty clear. A lot of times what I receive is shut up and listen. A lot of times. Wait, hardest thing for me, right? I'm a very pitta person. Wait, watch, see what's going to show up. Now, it showed up, now do that. It can be done. I want to read you something, and then we're going to do the light invocation, because I know that's what you came for. I just use the opportunity because you came here, so I get to say some stuff. Huh? So this is from a book. When I look at it, it's backwards, but I think you see it forward, right? The Second Coming of Christ, it's called. The Second Coming of Christ, the Resurrection of the Christ Within You. It is by Paramahansa Yogananda. Okay? Paramahansa Yogananda, for those who don't know who he was an Indian, and he was a guru. He actually brought the science of particular kind of meditation to the West. He was guided, told by his guru and told by spirit. And even though he didn't want to, and then he went back to India and he didn't want to come back here, but he had to come back again, right? An amazing, brilliant person who was absolutely dedicated to his spiritual path and to teaching others. As far as I can tell, he's one of the only people, there's no scandals around Yogananda. He was who he said he was, right? He started the Self-Realization Fellowship in California. He died at 58 years old. He was not very old. And he wrote some amazing stuff. So he actually has, this is a 2-volume set, and he has another one, a commentary on the Bhagavad Gita. This is commentary actually on the life and the teachings of the Master Yeshua Manuel, Jesus. So I'm going to read you this because the dude is amazing. And because I have to say that when a great one confirms what we all know, so for me, when a great one confirms what I'm teaching and what I'm learning, I feel really good about that. I feel like, oh, wait, okay, so whatever source is like using me, right, used him in a much higher way, right? He was an illuminated, realized saint of a person. But when I read something like I'm going to read to you, for me, it makes me feel very, very good. I feel like, okay, we're in good hands, huh? We're in good company with if Paramahansa Yogananda, in his own incredible way, said the same thing. Here's what it says. Purity of the intellect gives one the power of correct reasoning, but purity of the heart gives one the contact of God. Intellectuality is a quality of the power of reason, and wisdom is the liberating quality of the soul. When reason is purified by calm discrimination, it metamorphoses into wisdom. Pure wisdom and the divine understanding of a pure heart are the two sides of the same faculty. Indeed, the purity of heart or feeling referred to by Jesus depends on the guidance of all action by discriminative wisdom, meaning the heart. The adjusting of human attitudes and behavior by the sacred soul qualities of love, mercy, service, self-control, self-discipline, conscience, and intuition. The pure-eyed vision of wisdom must be combined with the untainted feeling of the heart. Wisdom reveals the righteous path, and the cleansed heart desires and loves to follow that path. All wisdom-revealed soul qualities must be followed wholeheartedly, not merely intellectually or theoretically. And the ordinary person's occluded vision cognizes the gross shells of matter, right? Understands the gross levels, but is blind to the all-pervading spirit. By the perfect blending of pure discrimination and pure feeling, the penetrating eye of all revealing intuition is opened, and the devotee gains the true perception of God as presence in one's soul and omnipresent in all beings. The divine indweller, it's what he calls the God, the divine indweller, whose nature is a harmonic blend of infinite wisdom and infinite love. In other words, breathe in your heart and connect with light. It's basically the same thing. And he goes through a whole thing about the stages of the purification of the heart. Right? So what we are teaching, what he taught was meditation, very deep meditation and very beautiful meditation. The little piece that we've added, that we're adding, is here's specifically how you do it. Ground yourself on earth, center yourself in your core, breathe in your heart, and go into the space of humility, right? The space of compassion, the space of faith, the space of surrender, the space of trust. And then the dial of the heart, right? Those qualities he said, mercy, right? Forgiveness, mercy, self-love, right? Devotion, all of those things have a place in the heart. See? So anyway, it made me feel good that someone as elevated and immensely wise as Yogananda said it better than I could, but basically is saying the same thing, right? It doesn't make me fancy, it just makes me happy. So let's do it, huh? Look, calling light for ourselves, and we're going to call light for this earth, right? It's another vision I had just last week, right? What I saw was the so many people on earth calling, connecting with light, and calling to the universal consciousnesses for help, which means to me, we need light on earth. Let's speed up this transformation. The transformation has to happen. You know it in your cells, my dear. You go through, something gets triggered. You gotta go through it. You gotta finish it. But if you finish it by connecting through your intuition with light, it goes faster, it goes deeper, it goes quicker, and it goes more completely. That's what I know from my work on me and with some of you. So it is not possible. We are not going to make it not happen that there is serious stuff happening on earth. We're not. Transformation of human consciousness is a painful process in part because humans live by homeostasis. And transformation requires letting go of homeostasis and entering into a transformative movement. It's not easy. Okay? So let's help each other do it now. Calm yourself, breathe in your heart. Get very clear on your prayer, huh? What is your prayer for right now? We're going to start with ourselves always. What is your prayer for now? What's up? What are you putting on the altar of faith in front of your heart? What are you putting in front of your heart on the altar of faith? Positive prayer. Huh? Positive prayer. What do you want? Like that. We call here on the guides of these beloved ones, each and every guide of each and every one here in this circle. We call on the guides of this work, the ones provoking, teaching, bringing this light to us, filtering it through their wisdom and mercy. We ask that the prayers we are making so sincerely, so humbly, so truthfully, so simply, be transformed in light so that what is blossoming in us may blossom fully, completely. And we ask that what we do here be of some good to all beings in the sacred path of unity, harmony, transformation, illumination, and liberation. Amen. Breathe, open your channel, and receive what is coming right now to you. Breathe in your center. Sit in the armchair of your heart. Open all the windows. Breathe the light into any place in your body that you're aware of that is stuck, that has energy coagulated. You can recognize that through pain. You can recognize it through tension. Direct your breath there and let the light ride on your breath into that place. Now, particularly be aware of the space of compassion right in front of your heart chakra in the center of your chest. We're holding the space of compassion for each other. There are people right now in this circle receiving a profound healing of old, deep, troubled energies. Hold that space of compassion for them, for you, for all of us. Pay attention to the back of your head, to that chimney. Relax your neck, relax your shoulders. More light is coming. Breathe. Breathe. Invite the light in even deeper. All you have to do is say yes inside you. Watch your thoughts, don't follow them. Be aware now of also of your grounding so that the light can expand with no fear in you. Be aware now of what's being lifted off by the light. It's been stimulated, it's been activated. Breathe, grounded, centered in your heart. Allow it to lift off. Pay attention to how you know that it's lifting off. Now feel your heart again, even cleaner, joining with all the hearts that are here and the hearts of the beings here with us, the guides, the bringers of light. We are praying here for this light this focusing of light to infuse the earth itself, and all of us, all people, all creatures, all inhabitants of this earth, those in bodies, those without bodies, all beings to receive this light. We ask for more light and more light and more light. We ask that this circle be a point of light from which light can emanate. Stay steady in your heart, grounded breathing. There are some energies that need to be transmuted here in this circle of heart. We ask that you memorize the sensation, the vision, the intuitive sense of this light, so that you can recognize it when it comes spontaneously to you, and you can recognize your successful calling of it As this one has said, you need to practice like any other human skill. Make this a daily practice until it becomes, so to speak, a minutely practice. Until it becomes not even second nature, but your nature itself. There are many thoughts that will come to interrupt you. Thoughts of doubts, thoughts of opinions, as this one has said. That will come to convince you that what you are doing is useless, not real. Each thought that comes is a test for you to call light to that thought. And each successful transmutation of such a thought is a victory for light and a learning for you. May you be blessed here now with the peace of Christ in your hearts. May you know yourself as that peace. May you know that the object of so much attention to your heart is to create the hospitable container for this peace to come and reside. You know now in this peace that peace is not the absence of conflict. Peace is not the absence of war. Peace is this, the presence of this. Breathe. Add the vibration of gratitude to your state of being now, huh? Gratitude lives in the mental body in the front of your heart, your throat chakra. Like that. Gratitude for the consciousness to do what you just did and the ability to choose that you just employed. Gratitude for this incredible gift of your bodies. Within which to learn so much. Gratitude for this light. May I suggest that every morning, the first thing you do when you wake up is feel your gratitude. Not just because you woke up again, but because it sets your day. So thank you, everybody, most sincerely, for the opportunity to bring these simple teachings. Gratitude to all the teachers who teach us on every level, particularly in this night, Paramahansa Yogananda. Gratitude for our circle of hearts. Gratitude each of us for the work that we get to do to practice bringing light to earth. We ask for mercy, justice, forgiveness. To open the hearts of humanity. We ask that all beings receive what they need, understand and interpret it as such, and realize that there is enough for everyone, everything. Thank you.